Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. This week we're looking into, now we're back on the mooring as you know, we are looking into getting the boat prepared to be off-grid. So getting into it now, because if we're missing something doesn't work, we have a little bit of time before the end of hurricane season to prepare the boat. So we're playing with all the different systems and adjusting them. So stick with us, have a little look, and see if we can get this boat ready to go off-grid.
Hi, we are Erica and Davy, an adventurous, slightly crazy couple who has taken on the challenge of restoring a hurricane-damaged catamaran. It isn't easy, but we are seeing progress from all our hard work. Subscribe to our channel to follow our journey. You must tell yourself, no matter how hard it is or how hard it gets, I'm going to make it. So this week has been huge for First as well. Fox didn't used to like the beach. She used to hate the water. She was terrified. When we first had her, we tried to take her in the water. Maybe this freaked her out a little bit because she would run and hide up on the beach. So this week we actually took her to the beach, was throwing her ball back and forth. The ball accidentally went in the water and she actually went to get it. So this is a huge first. We're so proud of her. It's like, I don't know, proud mom and dad moment. Alright guys, so I'm sure you can hear it in the background. We have the generator running at the moment because we're actually making water. A lot of people say they don't want to make water here in Lupron, but where we are, we're very close to the entrance of the bay and it is an incoming tide right now. So that means there's really fresh water coming from the Atlantic all the way in. So we feel fine making water. But it's also super exciting. It's the first time we've done it on the boat. David, do you want to?
It's good stuff. Yeah, so we managed to get hold of this kit here. I hope you can hear me over the generator. But we managed to get hold of a second-hand Rainman from a good friend of ours, Al. Had it surplus to his needs. So we've got hold of that, and this is the first time trying it. We've made about, what, 20 gallons so far? It is a bit noisy. I know here in Lupron it's very, very cheap to buy water, but we're also experimenting to get used to the system because when we leave here after the hurricane season, we want to go as far off-grid as we can. So we haven't decided where we're going, but we want to go and try and explore some places. Maybe there isn't going to be any water, so we need to be as self-sufficient as possible. That's why we're adjusting the solar panels, we're working with the Rainman, we're just sorting out all our systems to get us ready to go exploring again.
So guys, as we're making water, we are putting it into, I'm gonna go inside. So as we're making water, we are putting it into a 5-gallon container. Just because this is the first time we've used it, we don't want to contaminate the whole tank in case something does go wrong. I don't think anything will, but it's just better to be safe than sorry. I'm also doing laundry in between too, so I can get a couple loads in. So another thing that Davy's doing right now, something I've wanted him to do for a long time, he's working on our mosquito screens. They're kind of a pain in the butt.
I started making these a year and a half ago.
Yeah, what? A year and a half ago, babe?
When we first arrived here, after we'd been in the quarantine anchorage, when we moved to the floating dock, we had a big problem with the no-see-ums and the mosquitoes. So I did make up these frames, but I never actually finished it by putting them together properly. So every time we have to put the net in and just push the frame in. And Erica has been mentioning once or twice I should actually finish it so that they actually go in nice and easy every evening. So that's today's little project while we're making water.
Gotta keep them busy, right? Alright, so let's talk water for a minute. In the last clip, Davy said that buying water here in Lupron is relatively inexpensive. It is, but it is also like a big job. So here in Lupron, you can buy water from the boat boys, and you get them in 5-gallon jugs. So they'll bring them out to the boat. Some of them will help siphon it in or pour it into the boat. And sometimes when it's really, really hot, and you're getting 20 to 25 bottles of water, it's a big job and it's not the easiest. So I did crunch the numbers a little bit. So our boat, I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but we have 2 tanks, 2 265-liter tanks. So that's 530 liters, which is about 140 US gallons. So if we were completely out of water, we would need 28 bottles to fill up the boat. So the price of that, you have to pay 70 pesos per bottle when the boat boys bring it out to you. So that works out to be just under 2,000 pesos. At today's exchange rate, that's 35 US dollars. And then they do kind of expect a tip on top of that, especially if they are pouring it into your boat. So it works out to be about $40 to fill up your boat with water. It depends how frugal we are. Sometimes we can make our tanks last a very, very long time when we don't use too much water. But if you want to do a little bit of laundry here or there, or you want to wash the dishes, or you end up using more than you think. So we try to be as frugal as possible with water. The other option is we could always go get water ourselves, and we could go over to Las Vegas, one of the marinas, and we could pick up water ourselves. But our dinghy is only little. It's just under 8 feet. And trying to cart all those water bottles, 28 bottles, back and forth, we'd have to do many trips, and then pouring it in ourselves, pulling them up onto the boat. It's crazy. So if we were to do that, it would only be 50 pesos per bottle. So it is slightly cheaper. Works out to be about $25 US to fill up the boat. But it's like a full day affair. So we are super happy to have this water maker. It just kind of makes things a little bit easier. We can run it every now and again. We can do pretty much anything we want with water because we have the capability to make our own. So it's one of the positivities of having it. There is, obviously, with having a water maker, there is going to be the different fees for getting the new membrane and the pickling liquid and just the maintenance of it, but overall I think it will be good. And like Davy was saying, if we want to go off-grid to the Bahamas or different places, we can be more sustainable and we can look after ourselves. Water is key, right? So on that note, talking about a little bit of money-wise, we are trying to keep our costs down as much as possible lately. That boatyard kind of screwed us over near the end, so we're a little bit tight on funds, so we are trying to be as frugal as possible. So we did go to Puerto Plata the other day. We find going to Puerto Plata is better for us. We can spend about 400 US, and that lasts, the food that we get for that will last us about 5 to 6 weeks. So it's really quite good. We were trying to play with going into Loop Run to get food, and we were spending probably 40 bucks each time we went to the supermarket, and that would only last us like 3 days. So overall, going to Puerto Plata is definitely key for us. We can fill up the fridge and the freezer, and it works out really well. But that's another thing. So we are trying to work on our power consumption, because now that we've turned the freezer back on, because we've done that big shop, we need to be a little bit better. So we've also had some really interesting weather this week, guys. Check out that light show.
Alrighty, so you heard me mention before when we were talking about the water maker and trying to get us ready to go off grid, so when we leave here we can be as self-sufficient as possible. One part of that is we've had this solar panel floating around on our boat for a while, as you can see here behind me. Was actually a friend of ours, and we were supposed to be delivering this to Cayman. He was actually going to come and crew on the boat for me. Unfortunately the world shut down and we never actually did that trip. But I picked up this panel for him in West Marine in Puerto Rico, and just a few days ago we have been chit-chatting back and forth, and he said, look dude, you can't just have it sitting in your spare berth, so why don't you just put it on the boat? So that's what we decided to do, instead of it taking up room inside, waiting to get damaged by laying around in there with other things like bouncing around, if you will. So we're going to install this one, which is going to give us some extra power. It's another 160 watt panel. So basically this one panel has about the same power and ampage as the flexible panels that we got. We've already got the 3 of those. So let's go up and have a look. So with the 3 that we've got here on the cabin top, unfortunately this one here gets, the one closest to the hard top does actually get shading at around 2 o'clock. So what I'm considering doing, first of all, I'm going to put this hard one on top of the hard top, and I'm going to put it sort of diagonally across this way because I want to leave the space at the back, because we do actually want to put 2 more big panels up there. So I'm going to put that one up there, and then I'm considering moving this one across to the side here so it doesn't get the shading in the afternoon. I'm going to put it into series with these ones, because when you look at the optimum performance of the panels, I know this one's a hard one, they're flexi ones, but the numbers are extremely close, so there shouldn't be any problem to pop this one in as an extra one into series. So that should give us some extra power. There is also another reason why we're trying to upgrade the amount of solar that we've got, but that's for an upcoming video, which I think you're going to find really interesting. We've started filming, we've started working with, but we're going to want some extra solar power to help that unit, or extra bit of kit that's coming soon. So stay tuned for that, you'll find out about it. That's just a little bit of a teaser. Anyway, let's crack on, open this up. I did actually just notice after bringing it up, it actually comes with the brackets and the nuts and bolts. So this morning I did actually go to town, and I spent an hour in town at Freddy's finding brackets and nuts and bolts. I should have opened the packaging first. I had it all already. Anyway, no problem, no harm. Let's try to screw this thing together. I'm going to set it all up down here first, and then we'll put it up onto the roof. Anyway, I'm going to chuck this on a time lapse while we get all the nuts and bolts in place, and then we'll get back to it. Let's get this thing on the hardtop. Alright guys, so this panel didn't come with MC4 connectors. It came with its own standard sort of brand, but we're using MC4 connectors on this boat. So I've chopped the ends off, and let's put some connectors on. So we need a male and a female, positive and a negative. Got one of each of those, and then we need the little inserts as well. Alright, I'm going to pop those ends over. Fold that over, and then we need, let's get this right. I'm really interested to see what extra power we got. And we're only adding an extra 160 watts, but by moving the other flexi panel, we shouldn't have any shading at any point of the day. So it should be a lot more effective. Alright, do you want to go down and see what the amperage is reading now? Alrighty, so we got the panel up. It's getting a bit windy. I'm glad I got that on when I did. So we've got this panel up and installed on the hardtop here. Just got a bit of loose cabling at the moment because this is still a bit of an experiment. As you can see, these three panels that we got here, I'm getting a large amount of shading here. Now all these panels are running off of one controller at the moment. Ideally I'd like to have more controllers, but this is what we got. We got one, we've got the Victron 100 by 50, so it's got plenty of room. We could even expand a little bit more, but unfortunately with shading you do lose some power. At the moment the wattage that we're getting in, so normally from these three panels I would get around 350 watts with no shading. Now it's supposed to be 460 watts, but that's optimum prime conditions. You know, there's no hazing, absolutely perfect conditions in a laboratory, if you will, 460. So we've never got more than about 360 out of them. But now by adding this one, even though I've got shading, I'm now getting about 380 watts of power. Now, before I move, I'm considering moving this one across here to the top of the cabin top. But for experiment's sake, I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning and see what we get out of this whole array with no shading. So around midday tomorrow, it'll be nice and clear here, and then I'll see. So then I'll make my mind up about moving it or not. But just having 380 at this time of the day with having shading on, to be honest, that is fantastic. Normally at this time of the day with the shading, we're only getting about 210, 220. So this has really made a huge difference. That's a good panel. Alright guys, so just a little bit more information about the Rainman, the water maker. This is the first one we've ever had, but now I've turned the generator off and packed it down, I can just tell you what we've actually got. So this particular Rainman here, this is the 110 volt, 60 hertz. So basically what we need to do is we have to run it off the generator. The inverter on the boat is not big enough for this, the solar panels are not big enough. We do, as I gave you a little hint in the video earlier, that we've got another piece of kit on board that we're experimenting with. We're going to actually be giving this a go as well, so maybe you can work out what we're playing with. But anyway, that's for another video. But this one here, it's supposed to produce 36 gallons per hour. Now, we ran it for a couple of hours. We did the timing, and we worked out that we got approximately 25 gallons per hour out of the unit. So I'm not sure if that is because this is a second-hand unit. I've told it's been hardly used, It could be the fact that the membrane, I'm not sure because I've never had one before. Maybe you want to leave something in the comments. Maybe the liters per hour is not being produced. Maybe does that mean that the membrane maybe is getting a little bit older or worn out or clogged up or something like that? But anyway, the water that came out of it was absolutely fantastic. So that's a massive positive. We know we can produce our own water off grid. So stay tuned, there's going to be a lot more about the water maker and also other ways to power it that we're trying to work on. So stay tuned.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. It's been a fantastic week here, lots of firsts. Preparing the boat to be off grid is huge as well, so we're super excited about that. So thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done that already, and a big thank you to all of our patrons. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much. Cheers.